in time today. I hope you're not sick of us by now. We're starting this new thing we're doing. It's called Voice of the Customer, where we talk to some people who've helped with Bluecap, and it's become part of their routine, and just see how it's helped them, and what the future lies for them. Joining me today is Fuad, as usual, a very familiar face, and
Yes.
one of our favorite people, Shayna from
Yes.
CAA Northeast. How you doing today, Shayna?
I am good. I'm actually blushing because I'm one of the favorites, like.
I know. Well, we wouldn't bring you here if you weren't.
I'll take it.
So yeah, let's just jump right into it. What has Bluecap done for you personally as a frequent meeting attendee?
Well, I spend my days in meetings. The joke is that I never know when I'm going to get work done because I'm constantly sitting in a meeting. But I'm one of these people, and I'm sure there are many out there who can relate, that has a drawer or a cabinet that's absolutely filled with those, spiral notebooks.
Mm-hmm.
Because I sit in a meeting and I literally try to capture every word so that I never have to think about going back. Like I always know it's going to be there. It's going to be my little notebook. I'm never going to miss anything. But it takes a lot of time. It goes through a lot of paper. So we've got a lot of trees that I've killed over the years, sadly.
I'm guilty of that too.
Right? A lot of trees I've killed over the years.
I'm not. I never did notes. Sorry.
That explains a lot, Fuad. No, I'm just teasing.
They're all up here.
Well, most of it's here with me, but it does get tired.
No, absolutely. Look, if you.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right? It can just come and go, right? If that was me. I didn't retain much information because I never used to take notes, and it's important to take notes.
Yeah. Well, I used to take a lot of notes. So I really was. Every word, I literally was assigned a cabinet reminders because I always would go back. When we were introduced to Bluecap, the thing that intrigued me was that I might not have to actually sit and write. And I will say that for the first couple of meetings, I still sat here with my little notepad and wrote out every word because I didn't really trust Bluecap. I didn't in the beginning. Now that's completely different. My notepad is there because I'll often want to write notes that pop into my head that aren't necessarily being spoken during the meeting, but things I want to bring forward for myself. But now I completely just trust that Bluecap's going to capture it for me, that I'm going to always know that it's there, that I can go back to. I know that she's going to tell me what I need to bring forward. Sorry, and I always refer to it as a she. I don't know why. I think it's because I don't have any daughters.
Bluecap is anything you want it to be. That's why we've left it as a very neutral. You put your personality on it.
Yeah. It's very inclusive. That's
yeah. It is very inclusive, but to me, it's a she. I can't help it. But that's been the biggest thing for me is that I actually can sit in a meeting and focus. Fully engage and pay attention because I'm not trying to engage and take notes and they're 4 sentences ahead and I'm trying to remember what was that big word they said that I'm not really sure what it means. Now it's there.
I used to love it. I used to love in meetings when I'd be like, just hold up. Let me just.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can continue.
Hey guys, I got to catch up. Just 2 minutes.
I need a minute.
But that's gone because I know that it's. I know that I can go back and be like, oh yeah, even some of the words that people I'm sure don't want captured when they get a little excited, but that's the joy of it too. The other thing that I really like, even just from the note-taking part that I have to talk about, and I'm sure we'll get there, is the video. I have found that fantastic for when people miss the meeting because they still feel like they can be a part of it. They're not just hearing about it. They're not just reading notes. they actually can watch it, because hearing about it or reading about it is taking out it takes out the emotion and the feeling and the whatever was shared during that meeting by the people, whereas being able to see that video that's always right there.
Shana, if I may share something, a delight from another user, they were shockingly delighted when they woke up in the morning, missing a meeting, but finding out in their inbox the summary of the meeting, even though they missed it, they were supposed to be there. But uh, just waking up to that okay, I have everything I need and I didn't miss out. Um, that was, I just wanted to share that, but I think you're absolutely right. Is when someone misses a meeting, when you have that ability of going back into the time, and you have few options, you can actually consume that meeting, that 1 hour 2 hour meeting, in 5 minutes, or you can dive deeper and consume the whole thing should you need to.
Right. It really is, and it's geared. Like, I have meetings that I attend that I don't necessarily need to hear every word, or I don't need to capture everything that's said for the whole meeting. And it's okay, we got the gist of it here. But when I really need to go back, it's fantastic. The other thing that I really like, and Fuad, you and I have experienced this together, when you've had a meeting and it's been you that set it up, and I've said, hey, I want that. I want those notes. I want that transcription. I want to be able to take that and remember. And the fact, like, within minutes of me saying to you, hey, send it over, I had it.
Yes.
Like, that's phenomenal. Whereas before, you or I or whoever was actually, leading the meeting would have had to walk away, go to their computer,
Yep.
and either type those notes out, or at least clean them up, because even when you're typing during a meeting, they're never exactly what you want them to be.
Shen, if I may add, it never was immediately after the meeting, even though it used to take another hour to do that. But we couldn't accommodate that hour after the meeting to write those kind of comprehensive notes that's shareable, with external and internal. So yeah, I think that's a great point. The ability of sharing notes in a timely manner. And if I may ask, have you seen the other feature that's more of a recent one? It's follow-up email. No, perhaps not. We won't talk about it until you see it. It just a little bit of cue. It writes an email for you, and I think so. So precisely what you were saying, Shena. If you'd ask me, hey, Fuad, what is the next steps, or what is the follow-up email? You are a manager. You could ask me, Fuad, have you sent that follow-up email? It's just almost that one click.
Let me push that button.
Yeah.
See, I have to tell you, every time we get into one of these calls and you tell me something else that Bluecap is doing, I'm mind blown. I thought I was mind blown back when I first met it or first seen it, and it has already evolved so much. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine where it's going, because.
Well, it's quick thought. From the story Fawad told about the bot showing up without, its user. What if you could tell the bot what to ask? There you go. Then you wouldn't have to attend meetings. The bot could just talk to the people in the meeting.
I mean, as I mean, that could be version 2. As the bot understands,
So I'm thinking,
his boss, it
patent
learned to
pending.
understand. Yeah, right. It learned to understand. Oh, wait a minute. On behalf of my boss, let me ask this question, because that may be a question my boss would be interested in.
Oh, you could wake up in the morning and be like, I'm not having any of this meeting. Bluecap, ask these 3 things.
Well, I mean, just think about it.
Would that be something you watch?
I'm just like, hey, I want a coffee right now. I'm just going to say, hey, I want to know this, and this, and send it off. Bluecap, you take care of it. I'm going to, drink my coffee. No,
There we
that
go.
like
It would serve me too, Justin. I won't say when it happened, but there were events when I went to get coffee and I missed mission critical things, right? Including live streaming here and there. Coffee is
Well,
critical.
I've already double booked you for tomorrow, so let's see if we can get Blue Cap to attend one of the two.
And would you say it overall increased more productivity between your core team? We know that you have some of your team members using it. Um, did it enable additional intelligence that you probably would not have had uh, otherwise? You know, either thought or looked at or
I think that you could have two people or three people or however many people that work together really closely. And I'm sure you guys experience it yourselves. Fuad, you might take one thing out of a meeting that really stands out to you, but Justin, you take something completely different.
Hmm.
And I think what it's done is without Sylvie, so Sylvie's, my colleague that I work very closely with, without Sylvie and I always having to like go, oh, well, what did you take from it? Or what did you take from it? Bluecap tends to pull what each of us have kind of pulled from it and then some. So there are times definitely that it's actually picked up on something that I was like, oh yeah, I probably should have actually thought a little more about that. But because it wasn't necessarily the focus of the meeting, it was something that was sort of off to the side.
right.
It wasn't forefront. But it does give you those little, I guess I'm going to use the word triggers to think about more than just your blind, what you go in with your blinders when you're going into a meeting.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that we get from people. They want this single source of truth from all these conversations, and I think like you said, having these different angles, like Blue Cap's not coming in with any specific objective. Like each of your colleagues has their objective because they have that slice of whatever you're talking about, but you can get a more holistic kind of takeaway from it with a kind of neutral observer saying, all right, these were what the important objectives for everyone were. And then the user can kind of be like, all right, that one's mine, that one's mine. But it's nice to know Shayna's doing that.
Yeah, that's powerful. Great
I
stuff. So good to hear it.
Awesome.
It does all. Now, Shayna, does it save time ultimately?
Oh, come on. It saves time. It saves my fingers. Like, I used to joke and say that by the time I was like 60, my hands were going to be like this from all the holding. I now think that I might be able to like have pretty hands for, at least another, 20 or 30 years. Like I'm good.
Look
But
at that. We've saved her hands.
you saved my hands.
If there's one thing you need to know from this, it's that.
Save your hands.
Yeah, saved my hands, saved the trees and my hands. That's all that matters. Definitely, though, it does save time, right? It does save time, and even we've not been using it for like a whole long time. But I even think back to the fact of now it's not going to be that I have to go and try and find the notebook from July of 2021 or so far into 2022 or 2023 or 2024 or whatever, right? Like I don't have to necessarily go backwards. I can look, because I tell you, I don't want to have to dig through all those notebooks, Fuad. I don't want to have to do that again.
No, let me share how things changed for me. I used to do notes, drawing like animals, faces, and like
Oh, the
people
doodles.
doodles, right? People fighting, wrestling, things like that. And in between, I would write these keywords, these really important keywords. And later on, I would go back to that, but it's very difficult. Even it's my own creation, I wouldn't recognize my own handwriting. I wouldn't recognize, what I even wrote in some places. So discovery,
Yeah.
time to discovering insights were hard. Right now, I still do all those things, but I don't do my keywords in my drawings. So I do that just to register so that I can register my thoughts. It's just a process of me. But when I actually go to discover insights, now it's much better it's mind-blowing how unstructured data is automatically structured, and it helps me find that so fast. Yeah.
You're right. It's 100%, right? And we've all done it. We've all been in that meeting where we've wrote, um, yellow chair. I don't know. That's the first thing that popped in my head because there's a chair over there. But and then you get back to the meeting and you're like, what was I supposed to do with the
Why did
yellow,
I do this? Yeah.
right? And then, it's
That
just the way.
was that was half my notes as a developer. They were just like random keywords, and it's just like, in the context of anything, this makes no sense to me 1 week later.
The other thing that I have found really helpful that I think I'd like to share for sure is I am not overly technical, but I work with a lot of people that are very technical. So I'm sometimes in these meetings where the conversations go way over my head. And I'm happy to admit it because I'm there to take notes. I'm there to make sure that things get done after. I've got Bluecap is actually taking that, writing it down, and understand what I am then going to say to them. Hey, guys, that you did this, I can actually have a bit of time to go back and understand because there's a language communication, I guess, difference when you're talking tech versus not tech. But it gives you, because they catch all those words. Sometimes they say words that I don't even understand. I remember, this is sort of the thing. So when I was first tech side, people were talking about SQL, and I was reading SQL all the time. Had no idea that it was SQL. So it's those sort of things that eventually it catches on to, and you're not writing SQL. But I like the fact that
What was our big one? It was, if you recall, when we started experimenting with Nginx,
Right.
everyone was calling it Nginx.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that, yeah, because like that's one of those things that gets lost in translation. But like, if you have the time to actually go back and analyze and think about it, then you're like, oh, okay, now I understand it better. So like the enhanced understanding of the ability to review in context is just huge.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
I also
You said it so
personally
much
like
better.
those.
I basically talk for a living now, and Bluecap has enabled me to do that. So I'm quite. I don't even know what the word is. I'm not good at it, I'd say, but I can do it.
Katsu went
That's
off. He was
great.
going to share his personal story.
I know. I always do
No,
that to him. I'm Mr. Cutoff for Fawad.
no, look,
Fawad, go ahead before I do it again.
it's
I just
actually
did it again.
we'll blame it to our computing power. If my computing was reactive enough, we'll be able to cut off each other more frequently.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be ahead of me, and then yeah.
Well, the reason is my computer slows down when I'm running this streaming. And as I start talking, guys have a delay, I think. So I don't win the fights. I'm always delayed. And that's so important in technology, right? The time to data and insights. And that's fascinating in terms of, you could win if you get the insights at the time you need it. And I think Bluecap is amazing at that, right? Making your meetings almost real-time insightful experience. One other thing I wanted to ask you, Shayna, what about those key takeaways? Do they help at all? Um, do you look at them from time to time?
We do. So we do look at the key takeaways, and I find them, again, I think going back to what I said about sometimes what Sylvie takes out of it and what I take out of it is different. When those key takeaways come together, there's sometimes things in there that, oh yeah, I missed that.
Gotcha.
Or okay, I didn't really catch that to that degree or that level, or I didn't take it to that far. And so it's fantastic when you look at it from that point of view of, we're all human. We can't catch well, Bluecap isn't, but the rest of us are all human. We don't catch everything. So, the fact that Bluecap sits there in my meetings with me, if I miss something, I know it's going to be there at the end of the meeting that I can have it at my fingertips.
My next question, and probably last, and then Justin, please hop in, is if you had to say what Bluecap is, one of our biggest challenge, Shayna, is how can we tell what Bluecap is in the shortest time? And if from your own experience, if you were to define what Bluecap is to a friend, what would be your definition of Bluecap?
I want to point out that the shortest I've ever been able to do this is 1:30, and I almost passed out from how fast I was talking.
You know what? I actually often will introduce Bluecap when I'm going into a meeting, especially if it's someone that has not been in a meeting with me when I've been using it before. And so, I kind of go through my little spiel about the fact that, we're recording this and there will be a transcription and all of that. But I usually start by saying, I introduce you to Bluecap. I refer to it, and she is my best friend and the person who keeps me honest and keeps all of my notes straight.
Amazing.
That's great. That's really, I love that.
That's how I do it. I'm like, she keeps me honest. I can't ever say that, this person didn't say it or this person, said something different, because it's right there. And, she also helps me always make sure that I don't miss anything. So it's like the perfect assistant that, I don't necessarily have to argue on a daily basis.
Amazing. So let me ask my sub question. It's still the last one. May we coach you? Actually, this is not.
You got to maximize every single thing here. This is all about efficiency.
Well, your answer is so amazing that just derives so many other questions, but we'll only ask one, which is Bluecap, my best friend, could be our next slogan, and we could have Shayna saying this, right? This is amazing.
I think when we make the toy, that'll be perfect for it.
Your next best employee.
Ooh.
Right.
Ooh,
okay.
Well, if we do get rich off of that slogan, we will.
I want that.
Yeah. Well, Shayna, as always, it has been wonderful talking to you. And we are honored to have you on here, especially and as a client as well, because your feedback has been, and your feedback has been instrumental in getting us to where we are. So, thank you for everything, I guess.
Thank you.
No problem. No problem. You guys are a pleasure to work with. Almost as much of a pleasure as Bluecap. No,
we couldn't hold a candle to Bluecap.
No.
Alrighty, thanks everybody for joining us, and tune in. I guess tomorrow is the next time everyone can see us. We're talking about, I believe, work transformation for business professionals.
Thank you, everyone.
If you want to tune in, Shayna, we'd love to have you.
Might have to come in for that one. That one intrigues me.
Ooh, exciting.